What's up, everybody? Usually I try and get that done before I get ready to come on the air, but I didn't really have time. My wife and I and kids, we've been out riding around, gearing up for this Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. Let us not forget all those that have risked their lives and paid the ultimate sacrifice so we get to do what we do here in my favorite country, the great United States of America. Get all this situated. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I guess it's I have to give the old, what's up, YouTube? Get this mic situated. My goodness. I need more sound in my headphones. I was ill prepared for everything that was going to be happening. It's kind of a last second thing. I wasn't sure if we were going to be home in time. We've been out just riding around, doing all those fun things you do, and gearing up for what's going to be a big Memorial Day tomorrow. Yeah! I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. I hope everybody had a fantastic week. It's been, I've had a good one. We haven't done too terribly much, which has been nice. I enjoy that. We're still staying close to the house because everything that goes, everything's going on with the Rona and stuff. I personally don't want to risk it, especially given the fact that my wife has such bad asthma. I don't want to bring it home. I would feel bad. What's up, Larry Conus? How are you, good sir? For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, the way this typically works is you ask questions, I provide answers. This is an open format kind of show. I will do my best in answering whatever may come up. A little bit about me. My background is turfgrass management, so I feel most comfortable answering questions that relate to lawn care. I spent the duration of my career in residential lawn care. I'm still in it in some form or fashion. I know I've been having fun, at least with my own property here, the last little bit. I did a little challenge to myself to see how quickly I could repair my lawn. I'll be doing a YouTube video on that. I've got another YouTube video on the books right now, as my wife is finishing editing, and that'll be coming out. It's going to be an interview I had that was live on Turfs Up Radio with a man named Trent Lewis, who's one of our great ranchers. He's an awesome guy, so I'm just going to throw that up on here. And now that the kids are off for summer break, my wife has time to edit videos again, so we'll be doing a fair amount of that as well. Hopefully. I've been a little bit overwhelmed with everything we've got going on. Of course, when Old Carbon Earth keeps you Oops. Old Carbon Earth keeps you young at heart, so to speak. I don't know how else to describe it. It's definitely got a little little craziness to it. That's for sure. Outside of that, like I said, if you're tuning in for the first time, the way this typically works is you ask questions, I provide answers. All you have to do is type into the chat whatever you want, what topic you want me to explore, and I'll explore it to the best of my ability. One of the things I will say is that I do make mistakes. I just want to get that out there. Anything I say, understand, I'm prone to make mistakes. If I do make a mistake, I apologize. I will do my best to keep up with this. What to do if you ask a question and I don't answer it, ask again. Please understand, I take the questions in the order that I get them. And as I'm exploring one topic, it may take me a minute for me to get to it if I'm still answering questions prior to that. And you have to understand, I'm on about a 60-second delay between what I'm actually talking and what you're actually hearing. So keep that in mind as well, too. Woo! Already, I can see questions coming in. Gets me a little excited. A little housekeeping. If you are interested in what's going on, you can check out the turfsupradio.com. You can go to turfsupradio.com and check out the show every day, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. That's a lot of content that gets pushed out there. I'd post a link to the podcast, but I have not had time to put it up. We've been doing a lot of different things at Carbon Earth right now. If you're interested in seeing what we got going on at Carbon Earth, you can go to carbonearth.com and check out all the changes we've made to the website. We have added a full liquid product line. I'll post a link to that right here. And the whole premise behind this product line here is we're taking our peptide power technology, peptide power, and then formulated it into a series of foliar fertilizers. These are not your run-of-the-mill foliar fertilizers. If you run a lawn care program, a product like Triple F probably ain't for you. If you manage fine turf and you're looking for a tool as part of your fine turf, then these products may be fit for you. If you're interested in them, you can purchase them right there through the website. No questions asked. Everybody asking about Smooth Jazz. Here's the thing. I can't do that when I'm doing the live stream with Smooth Jazz unless I am 100% certain it is, what is the word I'm looking for? It can't be copyrighted. If it's copyrighted, I can get a strike on the channel for having it. So I can't do a Smooth Jazz on here unless I'm 100% certain it is royalty-free. If anybody knows any royalty-free Smooth Jazz, I am more than willing to play it in the background. That is for sure. All right. Now, I saw a couple of questions already starting to come in, so I will start answering these. Again, go ahead, fill the chat with questions. I will do my best to answer them as they come up. Just understand it's going to take me a little bit of time. Okay. But first, I'm losing my sense here. I gotta do what the roll call. Baby Camillo. Mr. Camillo was first. How are you, good sir? Thank you for being here first. Number one in our hearts. Orion Meddling, how are you? Danger Lawn, the Lawn Stripe. C.D. Andrews is back. He's back. He's been hibernating all winter, and he's here. What's up, dude? Schaefer Lawn Care and Property Maintenance. What's up? J Farm. Oh, Jordan's here. JT, DIY Lawn Junkie. I need a fix because I'm a junkie. Bermuda Law, North Carolina, Mr. J Down, Sam Clemens, Brett Finkel, Matt Davis, Acme Fields, Mr. Larry Conus. I see him over there on Facebook all the time. sharing his wealth of knowledge. I appreciate what you do in the sports turf world. By the way, if you want to see what's going on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/grass factor, and I kind of post show notes and different things I've got going on right there on the Spacebook. Now I'm trying to be a little more active and a little more engaging, all that fun stuff with what ounces of time I have. Gravy Lookout is in here. What's up, big dude? I really appreciate the second half of the gifts you gave. I threw the freeze pops in the freezer. I had to hide them from my kids because if they saw it, they would be all over it. Thank you, good sir. Thank you. Gene Ducati Duclos, what's up, dude? Mark Taylor all the way from Jersey. Harry's from Jersey too. I didn't know that. And we got Zach Jones in the shows. All right, question number 1. I follow Alan Haynes' Cool Season Guide. Overseeded with JGB, I think that's Kentucky Bluegrass is what you're trying to say, last year. Now I have tons of annual rye this spring. Any reasons why? There's lots of reasons why. It's hard to pinpoint any one. You have to remember that's a big seed with a lot of energy. So if you got birds that are eating it from in a field nearby and they're doo-doo in your yard, chances are that's going to pass through a bird just fine. It ain't going to be no big deal. If you've had any kind of intense flooding, or if you're at the bottom of a hill where it may run from up above you into your property. Here's the thing with annual rye. If it makes it into your property, what's the word I'm looking for? If a seed makes it into your property, there's a very high percentage of it developing into a full-fledged viable plant. And the reason why is because there's so much energy in that seed. It's very easy to establish. So that's probably why. It has nothing to do with what you overseeded with. It has nothing to do with the Cool Season Guide. It just has to do with the fact that we're attempting to tame nature. And remember, nature always wins. So now that you have it, you have to develop a strategy to get rid of it. And what does that strategy look like? Probably your best bet. If you're new to this, I would not recommend it. I would probably get out there and hand pull it. If you're not new to this and you've got a few years under your belt and you feel comfortable with herbicides like methylphenol methyl, spraying cool season grass like Kentucky bluegrass with it at low rates, then I would recommend doing something like that. But if you're not confident in that, understand that product at a ½ ounce per acre kills weeds. 1 ounce per acre kills trees. Just a simple note. Sam Clemens says, I've been applying quinclorac for crabgrass, but it's damaging the surrounding Bermuda grass. Any tips? No, that's completely normal. Quinclorac and Bermuda is going to be just a little bit sensitive to it. Unfortunately, whenever you're applying a post-emergent herbicide, understand it comes with a little bit of risk of damaging your viable turf. Is there anything you can do specifically with quinclorac to mitigate the outbreak of that? Not really. It's just kind of the nature of working with quinclorac on Bermuda grass. It will cause discoloration. Not really anything you can do. In fact, 90% of all herbicides that you use on Bermuda grass that are post-emergent herbicides are going to burn the grass in some form or fashion. What's up, Mr. Coven Carlson? Ben Noack says, Matt, manganese, one of the more underrated micros. Seems like I get a big response from foliar similar to iron. Yes, and is it necessarily underrated? Yeah, kinda, yeah. So many people, when they're looking to improve color in their lawns, reach for iron, right? So that way they can get that artificially dark color, you know, the double dark or whatever the catchphrase is. In reality, you're not really doing anything positively beneficial to the plant by doing that. And what, as many people know, when you apply iron, it's quick to come on, quick to fade. Now, what you could do is by targeting all of the micronutrients that are involved in chlorophyll production or in that whole system. So that's when we get a little bit more diverse into iron and manganese and magnesium and zinc. Then you're starting to cover a bigger spectrum of what's taking place there. And a micronutrient application can provide you a little bit greater, not greater color response, but a little bit longer color response out of your micronutrient program. So while I still wouldn't be applying manganese by itself, it's totally doable. You can do that. Remember, manganese toxicity is a real thing too, kind of like iron toxicity can be. But what would be a better bet is combining iron, manganese, magnesium, and zinc, especially if you're using a sulfate source of nitrogen like ammonium sulfate. It makes perfect sense at that point to go with iron, manganese, magnesium, zinc, and ammonium sulfate, because there's a correlation between using a ammonium sulfate in the presence of sulfate and increased tissue levels of iron, manganese, magnesium, and zinc. So if you know sulfate is going to lead to higher tissue levels of that, it makes sense to apply it in conjunction with it to really maximize the color and the length of color response you get out of it. I hope that makes sense. Harry said, Matt, how about discussing hydrophobic soil treatments, baby shampoo, laundry detergent, dishwashing soap? Yeah, absolutely. Those all work. They're all surfactants. So they're going to help water infiltrate into the soil and hopefully bring some moisture back to your dry soils. When it becomes hydrophobic, and really any soil can become hydrophobic, just where water, after it completely dries out, water all of a sudden does not want to soak back into it. It will run around that hydrophobic spot. So by applying a wetting agent or a surfactant with it, it will help it penetrate into those rather impenetrable areas. So what I would recommend doing is, depending on whatever's easiest for you to acquire, there's some really good wetting agents out there for turf that work extremely well at very low rates. I'm getting a little bit more experience with the HydroSmart line of products, the Titan. So we've been playing a lot with that internally at Carbon Earth, and I can say for a fact that that product actually works really well. Over the years, I've also used a lot of ammonium lauryl sulfate. I bought it by the damn drum and gone out there and sprayed it, which is effectively just soap. So they both work. Now, what you have to remember is that when you apply it, immediately you need to water it in as soon as possible. Apply it, water it in as soon as possible. Maintain relative, adequate soil moisture after that too, to keep it working and active. If you do let it dry out again, there's a good probability you will need to replace it and reapply it, assuming those areas become hydrophobic again. T-Dot said, Turf Tight Tall Fescue lawn here. I've been bagging my lawn clippings, but still have to thatch rake it every 2 months because of so much lawn debris buildup. Switch from ammonium nitrate to ammonium sulfate fert. I've only applied a half pound of N this year with humic acid. Okay. If you're getting that much debris, you're applying either too much nitrogen. Here's the thing. There is what's called, and this is what I was actually talking to a sports turf specialist up in the Northeast. We were talking about Texas A&M credits organic matter in the soil as part of the amount of nitrogen you apply through the course of the year. Other soil testing places do not do that. If you're generating that much growth in that many lawn clippings and you're getting that much lawn debris buildup, something is off. You should not be doing that, especially if you're bagging your lawn clippings. Something's off. So chances are you may have a soil that is already naturally high in organic matter. And as you get warm and you start getting rain, it all starts to digest and release. And then you start applying ammonium nitrate on top of that, it's starting to release even faster. And that's why you're getting such incredible intense surge buildups. Now, the other thing too, I would make sure is that you're cutting as high as possible. And that's really it. That's really all I got to say about that. Can you achieve the same effect as headway by putting down azoxy granules then PPZ granules and watering them both in at the same time? Liquid fungicide is too much for a homeowner with 15,000 square feet. Is it going to act the same? No, it's not. Because there's going to be some absorption that occurs around the crown of the plant and also at the tissue of the material. And you're going to get some different movement from each of those products too. PPZ is going to be very mobile through the plant. Azoxystrobin is not very mobile through the plant. You tend to get up, not down. So, no, it's not going to function the same. Will it still be effective? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. But it's probably you're lacking a few additional performance metrics by going with a granular than you would be with a liquid. Robert Butler said, "Hey, Matt, saw your vid today on cow lime versus dolomitic lime. I put what I needed in D-lime last fall per soil test, but having problems still associated with low pH. I think, would calcitic now be a good idea?" Well, choosing between calcitic and dolomitic lime really comes down to your soil test. If you're looking for speed, how fast you need it to react, the question then becomes, how fine of a grind are you working with? And I did a YouTube video that is called All About Lime that talks about the size grind. And it would tell you specifically which one. It would tell you how to look at your label and see what kind of performance you can expect from it. Hang on 1 second, and I'll find a link to it, and I'll throw it in the link for you, Mr. Robert Butler. Okay, I found it. Let me copy it. Oops. Yeah, that's it. And then I'll paste it. Robert Butler. There you go, dude. There you go. Okay. Let's see. Scott Newman said, "I spread 3.5 pounds per 1,000 of MAP on my Bermuda and Zorja. MAP is 1050 and is prilled. pH 8.1, CEC of 27. That much MAP going to hurt anything? Water it in normally or go heavy? At 3.5 pounds, you're applying 1.75 pounds of P. I'm assuming you're doing that because you had a soil test that told you were low in phosphorus. You're not going to hurt anything if you're low in phosphorus. It's going to make sense. I probably wouldn't do that much in a single app at one time. But as kind of a general rule of thumb, because here's what happens is if you're already high in P and you're applying MAP on top of that, you may be beginning to lock up some of your micronutrients for a temporary period there until the plants can begin to adjust to it. So there you go. Also, is regular calcitic lime basically the same as SoCal lime? I have no idea. I don't understand what you're asking there, Robert. But no, regular calcitic, it all comes down to the size of the grind. What you're looking for is the size. Oh, you're talking about Solucal. No, regular calcitic lime isn't. Solucal is a very, very, very fine ground material, and that's why it acts faster. The smaller the grind, the faster the response. MOP versus SOP. Pros, cons, which ones to use and why? MOP is extremely salty. It's calcium. Calcium. It is potassium chloride. If you've ever used no salt, thank you, T-Dot. You don't need to do that, sir. If you've ever seen no salt for people that have heart problems and they can't have regular table salt, what they recommend is using MOP. Problem with it is that the salt index is extremely high. Then secondary to that is that you're also applying chlorine on top of it. Yes, chlorine's very soluble and it's going to work its way through the soil, but some plants don't respond as well to chlorine as others. So I personally would recommend staying away from MOP at all costs. It's the risk to reward ratio isn't really there for me. The pros, it's cheap. The cons, everything else I just listed. SOP is going to be twice as expensive, but much lower salt index. You're also delivering sulfate, which is pH neutral, and is likely to give you a bit more of a color response than your MOP would, which has a very, very, very high burn potential. In fact, it's higher than like urea. So just to put that into perspective. Brian Russell said, Northeast Ohio here, unknown grass type, looks like tall fescue. Applied tenacity 8 days ago. Some of the grass is white, but doesn't appear that any weeds are. Example, dandelions. Say it's working as a post-emerge. Also, where's the best place to purchase Carbon Earth products? Online website? Yeah, there are available online. I would go to carbonearth.co and you'll see the different places you can purchase it. If you're a DIY retailer, then there's a section there where you can go to find out where to purchase it. If you're a professional, it has a section for you to go where you can find where to purchase it there. If you're not getting any response yet, I would say wait 2 weeks. It's going to be a little bit slow to come on after 8 days. I'm not really getting excited, especially with an HPPD inhibitor, a bleacher. Normally, it takes about 14 days for it to come on. Yep, that's really about it. Should you leave Subvert on the foliage for N uptake, or should you water it in for the peptide uptake? Water it in for the peptide uptake. I got that 818 fix. What's up, Northwest Georgia? Mooch Long Guy. What's up, dude? What's up, Ray? How are you, good sir? Glad you made it. Zach Jones said, I'm in central Connecticut and playing around with the idea of putting down zoysia in my yard. Besides lots of winter dormancy, are there other obvious problems with zoysia in this region? High probability of winter kill. A lot of the newer varieties of zoysia that you see out there aren't as hardy as the old tried and true Z51 that you likely see out there right now, Zach Jones. Other than it being dormant for a long period of time, nah, not really. No real drawback to it. I would just look for whichever one is going to be the most cold tolerant. If you can find the old Meyer Z52, that's probably the best bet you have, assuming it's been adapted to grow in your region. Remember, not all will have adapted to grow in your region. So I would try and find one from a side farm as close to you as humanly possible if you're going to put it down. Mushrooms, I have a farm. How do I prevent this from happening, and how do I take care of it? There's nothing you can do. This means you have organic material in your soil, probably something woody. And that means you also have adequate moisture, and it means you have adequate temperatures. All three have come together perfectly. As it gets warmer outside, it's probably going to go away. As the rain dries up a little bit, it's going to go away. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it except scrape off all your soil, replace it with just straight sand, and make sure nothing that is woody ever makes it into the soil profile ever again. You can put down all the fungicides in the world you want. It ain't ever going to work for you. So, unfortunately, you just have to live with it. Bernie says, what's up, dude? I live in Chicagoland and have Kentucky Bluegrass. Threw down CX 2404 back on May 6th. My next tab is 11 days. What's the next CX product to throw? Awesome product results so far. Thanks. Man, you could go two ways. You could either go another application of Carbon X, or you could do something like 818. X-Green would be a good follow-up application to that. Mangos' web says, hey, Matt, can you explain the benefits of applying phosphites in regard to fungus control? Any efficacy with root fungus? Does a granular version exist? I do not know of any granular versions. The big one is Pythium. Pythium is going to be your biggest responder. Is it really going to help? Anecdotal at best with your other diseases. I'm not really, I can't comment on it ever happened. I haven't read any studies that say it's going to help with anything outside of Pythium. Now, it can, if you apply a potassium phosphite, it's not quite as effective as one of the ones like, what is it, Chipco with the falsetto owl, but potassium phosphite can be applied, slightly lower efficacy rates, and Pythium. So your big benefit of applying a phosphite is purely for Pythium management or to supply potassium. Outside of that, and remember, it's going to read that it's got lots of phosphorus in it. None of that phosphorus is plant available. In fact, the plant will have no idea it's got phosphorus, even though if you test it, it'll show you've got phosphorus. The plant ain't going to do anything with it at all. You can elicit phosphorus deficiency in the plant by applying a phosphite. But it will supply potassium if you're using a potassium phosphite. So there you go. And as far as a granular version, no, again, not familiar with one at all. Can you explain MLSN? Yes, MLSN is the minimum level of sustainable nutrition. This was developed as a coordinated effort between Pace Turf and Dr. Micah Woods of the Asian Turfgrass Center. And the idea is the absolute lowest rates that can exist in your soil of NPK levels before you are guaranteed to exhibit nutrient deficiencies. So, as a general rule of thumb, if you ever see that you are at the MLSN level or below the MLSN level, you are screwed. Basically, like, you are leaving so much on the table. You have no idea how good the lawn can look if you were at the MLSN. Because typically, like, I'll give you an example, 37 parts per million is the critical level of sustainable nutrition for potassium. If you were at a 37, in fact, at 50 parts per million, you are beginning to elicit potassium deficiency symptoms in the plant. So that can show you there the critical level of sustainable nutrition is at 37 parts per million. At 37 parts per million is where you start to encounter failure. At 50 parts per million is where you start to encounter problems. And then above that, you're fine. But you have to remember, with any nitrogen you apply, you're tapping into your potassium, right? Nitrogen is what's going to drive the uptake of each one of those other elements. So if you know you're deficient in any of them and you're applying nitrogen and you're not taking care of any of it, you're dipping into that soil bank. You're tapping the bank for these nutrients. If they're not there, then you're creating problems for yourself. MLSN, in my opinion, is way too low. If we were managing turf and lawn care for a playing surface, trying to putt a ball, or trying to get a 12, 14 on a stimp meter, that's one set of management styles. In lawn care, we get paid for clean and green. Green is a secondary thought on the golf course. It's all about playing surface. How true can the ball roll? So remember, two different methods there. MLSN, in my opinion, is too low. T-Next newbie in North Carolina, when should I start and what rate? If you're, you are with Bermuda Lawn. I was going to say, if you're with Bermuda, good question. If you're getting to the point where you're cutting once a week and you're cutting off a significant amount, then I'd say it's safe to go ahead and apply. And I would use one of the apps like Greenkeeper app or whatever that tracks your growing degree days to time your next applications after that. Look, Ray, balanced micronutrients makes things greener and keeps things green longer. My grass is going to seed in a lot of areas of my lawn. Is there anything I can do? No, unfortunately, not at all. Best herbicides for clover in the summer for turf-type tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass. Escalade 2. Damon Williams, Matt, help. How screwed am I if I sprayed my turf-type tall fescue with with tenacity? Okay, with 1 teaspoon per gallon of water rather than 2 gallons per H2 as instructed. Are those spots just dead in a couple weeks? No. I mean, no. Yeah, you see where Ray answered your question there, but really that is talking about, it's telling you how to mix it per gallon, assuming you're applying a gallon over 1,000 square feet or applying 2 gallons over 1,000 square feet. So it doesn't matter what your mix rate is. What matters is your application rate over an area. That's the big difference. How do you feel about phosphates to help with preventing Pythium? Phosphates do not prevent Pythium. Phosphites prevent Pythium. Phosphates will not do anything in regards to Pythium at all. It will supply phosphorus, though, to the plant. Why should I remove the filter from my sprayer wand? Because it gets in the way. Colonel Corn Excel, can it be applied with the spreader? Yes, 100%. What do you think about Sam? We should add chicken feed to the lawn. Somebody asked me about this before, and look, here's the reality of the situation. Chicken feed is formulated to increase the health of the bird, right? So you're talking about plenty of fat, plenty of protein, plenty of carbohydrates. I do not need to apply crude fat to the soil. Establishing any kind of lipid layer in the soil is not going to be beneficial long term. In my opinion, it's silly. If you disagree with me, I recommend you call the Andersons or speak to any agronomist all across of America and ask them if it's a wise choice to apply a crude fat to your soil. Just saying. Where am I? Oh, I jumped to the bottom. Okay, here we go. Brandon Callie said, hey, brand new to the channel. This is my first season in lawn care. Can you give me some tips on creating a year-long weed control schedule package for customers, where to start, products, etc.? I can, but that's a lot. It would probably take me from now until 10:30 to get that done. I don't have any information. I have no idea where you are. Brandon Kelly, I would send an email at thegrassfactor@gmail.com. And we could go about it that way. Colby said, what's a good alternative mode of action run, but prop don't want to run strobe because 90% of my issues are dollar spot. Man, you could do, what's another one? Clear Ease 3330. Oh, look, Ray already answered it right there. Anything to control King Range Blue Stem? I'm going to guess. I don't know. Ray probably does. Look. Ray, what do you control King Ranch Blue Stem with? Unless you've already answered that, and I didn't see it. Did you answer that? I didn't see it. So I would probably do a crazy one like manuscript, and probably combine it with something else like metribuzin, and do a couple of repeat applications with it, and it would just be purely a test. Purely a test. I don't know that for sure. Okay, let's see. Have Bermuda. What's up, Paul? What are you doing, man? I gotta stop looking at where I'm at the new things in the chat, and I need to pay attention to what's already come in. Have Bermuda in North Texas. It has been raining like crazy lately. 80% chance to rain all week. Should I apply Pennant Magnum? Want to beat the sedges to that punch? That's a good question. If you're in Bermuda, North Texas, I say you're greened up already. At this point, I probably wouldn't be applying Pennant Magnum. I think you're kind of past that. I would make the switch over to sulfentrazone at 4 ounces per acre, and just plan on doing repeat applications of that. I would just feel more comfortable there than I would at this point applying Pennant Magnum. Robert Butler, granular humic versus liquid humic. Which, in your opinion, is better for quicker results? Well, the reality is this. If it's been already extracted with potassium hydroxide, there's no real difference. It just depends on if you apply it with, because you have to remember, what is the function? It's a chelator, right? So if you apply it in granular form and you're not applying it with a micronutrient of any sort, then it's not really doing anything for you anyway. So if you're spraying it with a micronutrient, then it makes sense because it's offering some chelation there. So as long as it's already extracted with a hydroxide and has been spray dried or whatever, and then granulated, that's fine. You can do that. There's no real difference. In fact, if you're trying to alter soil structure, you would have to use a granular humic to even be able to do that. You can't alter soil structure with just the amount of physical material that's in a liquid humic. So what's most important is just make sure it's been hydroxide extracted first if you're looking to achieve the same effects as a liquid humic. How about that? What's a cheap option for removing fescue in a zoysia lawn? Monument or Revolver are too expensive to justify for this DIY. Outside of that, so you've got Monument, Revolver, Katana. Negate isn't really going to work. Rimsulfuron is not that effective on fescue. It's super hit and miss depending on the cultivar of fescue you have in the lawn with Celsius. So that's really all I got for you there. Let's see. I'm real mowing for the first time this season. If I want to incorporate PGR into my program, do I need an expensive sprayer? Not necessarily, but if you do misapply or you bounce your wand while you're walking, you can cause some irregularities in the application and therefore irregularities in the growth as well. Let's see. Been reading that often crops are CO2 constrained. Can the same thing be said for turf? Any truth in building OM so that it can be burned off during growing season and release CO2? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't exactly understand what I'm gonna have to do some reading on this because I don't feel comfortable giving an answer right now. Ben, reach out to me privately and you shoot me an article or something that'll lead me down a wormhole so I can start diving into this. I don't feel comfortable giving you an answer there yet. Let's see. Damon Williams, Matt, any tips for battling shade other than chopping down trees? I've purchased more shade-tolerant varieties, but it thins out in the summer. Any soil amendments or minerals I can pay attention to? No, because unfortunately, you've hit the genetic limit of the plant. There's just a certain threshold of water that needs to be available in order for a plant to succeed in shade. So you've got to, at that point, when you've hit that genetic limit, you got to go ahead and either remove it or just accept the fact that it's going to thin out all the time. I see some people apply available P weeks before seeding since P doesn't move quick, but also see the most available P is locked up in the soil after a few weeks, early apple waste. It depends, right? So if you've got acidic soil and you're using an acidic form like monoammonium phosphate that's going to protect it a little bit longer, then you should be okay. What probably makes the most sense is just going ahead and applying it at time of seeding and just calling it good. That's usually what I prefer to do. I started using that. Ended up picking up some MFC applied last week at 1 ounce per M. Is this overkill? No, you'll be fine. You will be fine. You have to just watch out for single application thresholds, right? So you don't want to go out in one application at one time and apply, 6 ounces per 1,000 at one time, something like that. Just don't do that. Whoa, I lost my spot. Here we go. Ice bank. That's funny. William Poole, what's up, dude? Memphis in the shows. I ended up doing a renovation with Bermuda. I plugged the entire yard. What's the best way to get it to spread? Just fertilize it and mow it. Fert, water, mow. Fert, water, mow. It hasn't quite been warm enough for it to start taking off like it should, but the best way to get it to spread, fert, water, mow. 3 things. Mow, 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 mow. What's up, dude? Just put down CXDIY. This is my first app of the new formula. I like the granular size of CXDIY versus carbon dioxide. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Best herbicide for mature POA in Bermuda. I prefer Monument. I don't have really anything that Monument is what I love. Leaning towards Katana. Katana works fine. Absolutely. That'll work. Up here in PA, next FERT app is next week. Am I still good for Carbon X, and do I make the switch to X Green? Yeah, you'll be fine up there, man. You're up north. You're still having some cooler temperatures, so you'll be good. Need a FERT in the next week or so. I was thinking of using granular with Dimension since I didn't use any Preem this season. How long after will it be safe to overseed if I use now? Here's the thing is, yeah, you can go ahead and apply Dimension, but you're not going to get any post-emergent effect out of a granular Dimension. In order to get post-emergent effect out of Dimension, you have to apply it 1 as a liquid, 2 with the surfactant, 3 at max rate. If you take away any one of those, you're sacrificing any of the post-emergent qualities that come with dithiapyr. So don't get sucked into using granular with Dimension just because you're expecting to get any kind of residual knockdown out of it. Chances are you're not. So whatever you have available. If you can get it with Dimension easily, then sure, by all means. They'll have a chart on you that'll tell it how soon after application you can make your how quickly you can overseed based on the rate you apply. It's all based on the rate you apply. So there's like 3 different application rates. Therefore, you got 3 different windows. It doesn't matter if you're using a granular or liquid as far as how soon your overseed interval is. Ben H said, what would your first herbicide app be after seeding rhizomatous tall fescue to fight broadleaf and crabgrass? I'm on mow number 2. I'll obviously wait a while. I have tenacity and quinclorac on hand. So I would probably mix both of those and apply both of those. Blue stem is metribuzin intolerant. I don't know. I do not have any tips for controlling key range blue stem. I could do some reading into it. That's one of them Texas things. Woo! Don't mess with Texas. What does everyone attempt to use to control POA annual and cool season lawns? Ethifumicate is about the only option you have that's effective. Eric Kincaid, basically, yeah, except one has an ag label, one has a lawn label. Did the chest hair comments from last year influence your shirt choice this week? No, it did not. Trust me, it's still there. Actually, my wife threw this to me when we were leaving the house today. I put it on. I have no qualms, no reservations whatsoever regarding my chest hair. What up? What is your take on leveling material on Bermuda grass on Georgia clay? Sand. Just no ifs, ands, buts are about it. Just sand. Oh, are you doing? I did not see this, Kenny Cooper. Happy Memorial Day. What's a good subvert product to run with Carbonex school season Kentucky bluegrass? Ryan, interested in the MFT. Should I think about another product to go with it or another one instead of it? So MFT is definitely 100% what I recommend in that scenario. So the way MFT is designed to be run, it's not necessarily a standalone product. It is a product that's designed to be run as a tank mix companion along with other products. I'll throw a link in the chat. So meaning this, and if you look, combination of iron, magnesium, manganese, zinc, and boron, designed to be applied at a very low rate, has a very high concentration of peptides. So whatever it is you're applying in liquid form, this is something you can add at 16 ounces per acre, at 32 ounces per acre, and still get a significant kick out of it. Now, remember, this is not designed to turn the grass blue. Turning grass blue is not a healthy thing to do, and that's not what I stand for. So what this is designed for is going to be more for stress, abiotic and biotic stresses that occur in the plant, drought stress. So if you're moving into a difficult period or time of the year, this would be a perfect tank mix companion for you to help fight some of that stress. It contains a very high concentration of the root hair promoting peptide. Aldo Beltran said, I had a soil test done yesterday, waiting on results. I've got a bag of X-Soil on deck to throw down. Shabow! When I see my results, what effect will X-Soil have on the recommended amendments to my soil? It's not a nutrient. It's not a fertilizer nutrient. It's just a soil amendment. So the analysis is less than a 1-1-1. So it's not going to give you any kind of benefit to your soil test other than physically manipulating the structure and tilth of your soil. That's why it's recommended to apply a fertilizer alongside with it. So make your X-Soil application, then come back and put down an actual real fertilizer. That is just designed to manipulate soil structure and make the fertilizers you apply after the fact last longer. What's up, Shane Brady, the hardest working man in lawn care? Doing a show tonight. Yeah, man, Turf Teacher's awesome. He is absolutely awesome. For those of you who are wondering, when I talk about the Turf Teacher I'm talking about, if you're in the professional lawn care side of things and you want to learn how to be a better business person, the Turf Teacher, Eric, is the man. He's going to give you way more business advice than I ever possibly could. I suck at business. I am not a good business person. That's why I have people in my life like John Borden who help me do these things, because I suck at it. So what I would recommend is someone like Eric Jones, the Turf Teacher, who's excellent, multi-decades in the green industry type of business person. Just started reading MLSN 37 for P and Cow Mag S. Good to know my K isn't MLSN low. Yeah. So usually when I dip below 100 parts per million is when I start freaking out. Because at 50 parts per million, that's when you can start running into big issues. At 37 parts per million, that's when shit starts dying. Oop, crap starts dying. I like Ray's comment here. Thinking MLSN numbers as a D on a report card. That's a good way to put it. Nicholas Polio, for pros, is offering a pesticide insecticide program profitable or worth it? Yes, it is profitable and worth it, assuming you have pests and insects to deal with. Now, the other part of this is that you have to remember you need to be equipped to do it effectively to make sure it's going to work. And then second of all, the piece of that is you have to make sure you have the ability to schedule it correctly and adhere to a tight schedule. You have to remember a lot of guys that do pest and insect work are in Florida, and they do it all out of the same truck, and those guys kill it. Absolutely kill it. I've never seen companies kill it before like I've seen them kill it in Florida. I highly recommend you do that and go ahead and knock it out. You're a service provider, a service industry. If you can knock out multiple services at one time from the exact same truck, from the exact same technician, get it done by all means. 100%. It's incredibly profitable, way more profitable than even lawn care is. What's best to kill little barley and Dallas grass and Bermuda turf? Tribute total. Fert water and mow it is. Yes, sir. Everyone's taking a normal fert plant on warm turf with cool spring in eastern U.S. Patrick, I'll tell you what I'm doing right now, and this is just for my own experiences, I'm kicking my rates way up. So I applied a pound of N. Everything's starting to wake up and look pretty good. I'm coming right back in it with another pound of N, if not even higher. I'm probably going to go 1.5 pounds of N and make sure very little of that is slow release. So I'm staying away from the long, extended, slow releases, and I'm just going fast release and slamming it to it, sir. It has been really cold, and it is not performing well like it should. I'll send you some pictures after the show to kind of show you what the 14 and 21-day progress on the property is. My father-in-law is in Charleston, South Carolina, said he threw down some tall fescue seed this spring to fill in some dead spots. Are there any fescues that would be able to thrive in South Carolina? In Charleston, South Carolina? Not a chance. No, sir. Thoughts on 4-Speed XT? I love it. Remember, it's a combination of 2,4-D, tricopyr, and pyroflufen ethyl. Pyroflufen ethyl is very similar to carfentrazone quicksilver, same mode of action and just almost identical down the line. It's a great product. So I love it, especially for cool season grass. Remember, there's temperature restrictions with it because it's a hot product. I wouldn't be applying it to Bermuda grass when it's actively growing and hot outside. I would keep it to cool season grass and do it that way. Let's see. Hi, Matt. Hope all is well. I got my hands on some X-Start DIY, and we'll throw it down tomorrow. Can I apply Hydrotan right after it? Yes, absolutely you can. Barry Kavanaugh, I seeded a bare patch a few weeks ago. Used Scott Starter with best of trying to control weeds in that spot. I watered. It rained. It couldn't stick to a watering schedule as well as I wanted. You should be all right. Oh, think I'm SOL or water when I can? Water when you can. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Ray said D is an ass whipping in my life. It got flagged automatically by. I cleared it up, Ray. I cleared it up. You got flagged though. It put you in temporary timeout, I think. Let's see. No, Daniel, we are not talking about that. When you're going to get back the episode of the Drive Home added to Spotify? Somebody emailed me and they said they were willing to do it, and I need to reply back to them. We've got so much going on behind the scenes with Carbon Earth right now. I have not been able to do anything. I've got some replacement bags of fertilizer to get out. I've got all kinds of stuff I need to get done. This last week was not a good week. I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning every night, and now finally I'm able to focus on things outside of that. Oh, what is this? I don't need no damn super chats, Aldo. Go. Your thoughts on a summer pre-emergent app of Orizalin on my Southern Cali, Bermuda, fighting spurge that comes back. Man, for Orizalin, I don't know. If you're dealing with spurge, probably what I would do for a summer app is Gallery. I would spray Gallery. and a combination of gallery, isoxaben, and also metsulfuron methyl. I think that would be your best bet. I'm not doing no rumples tonight. I'm not caught up in the chat quite yet. Hang on. I still had a few more I got to get to. J Farm said, never put down a grub preventative. Is it a requirement or wait and see if grubs will be a problem? Personally, I wait to see if they're a problem. I don't do it preemptively unless I have a history on that property of grubs. Do you know the best way to get rid of moss out of my southern magnolia? Is starting to kill out spots in the tree. Moss is you're talking about like a Spanish moss. Man, no, really the only way to get it out is just to climb up there and get it down. Unfortunately, that's really the only advice I got for you. I don't know of anything you can spray on it. That's not to say it doesn't exist. I'm just not familiar with how to do it. Florida guys are structural and TNO certified. Yep, that's right. Copper-based fungicides. Look at that. Ray's got it. It does exist. I just don't know. I've never had to deal with it before, at least where I live. I don't have to deal with it. What is the best treatment for foxtail in Bermuda? I've used quinclorac twice and one app of MSM, still no control. If you're dealing with what you think is foxtail right now, guess what? It's probably little barley, major pain. So that's not foxtail you're spraying, so you're spraying the wrong herbicide for it. You're going to have to spray something like Katana, Tribute Total, Revolver plus Celsius, something like that, Celsius, to get rid of it. Quinclorac is not going to touch little barley. Little barley is what you're seeing right now. You won't see foxtail until you're about mid-June or a little bit later. What's a good summer fert? I can't get 818 X-Screen in SoCal. Any 1-to-1 nitrogen to potassium, 10-0-10, 20-0-20, any of that would be fine. Zach Jones, Poe Trivialis. If I'm not going to address it until fall with the renovation, do I need to dig it out rather than treating chemically? No, not really. Bullet Fields, hello, Matt. When rolling your own herbicides, do you mix label rates or do half rates? Aiming towards violets, clovers, turf-tall fescue, Louisville, Kentucky. I do label rates. I know not to pick up Spanish moss off the ground. There was a guy who made a Moss Man costume out of it for Halloween one year. He was eaten alive by chiggers. Woo! What are you doing, Trent? What's up, dude? Should I throw down X-Screen and Carbonex on my Bermuda through the summer months? Just threw down X-Screen. That stuff is so pretty. You can really do either. So really, kind of the way I would look at doing it is you can run higher rates of X-Screen, and that's going to do just fine. It'll do great. If you need to kickstart it and jumpstart it, then by all means, get down an app of Carbonex and then follow up with X-Screen after the fact. I want to mix T-Zone because of nutsedge and tenacity with the surfactant. T-Zone does not control nutsedge. This is the biggest misconception in all of lawn care. I do not like T-Zone. There's only a quarter of a rate of sulfentrazone in it. It will burn down your nutsedge, and it's going to come right back. And you're going to keep spraying, and you're going to keep spraying, and you're going to keep spraying. And you're going to say, damn it, why isn't this killing my nutsedge? Well, because it's not a nutsedge control product. Whoever sold it to you as a nutsedge control product, you need to walk back, stare them eye to eye, look them in the eye, and tell them you have no idea what you're talking about. Thank you for wasting my time. And then what you can point to is point at the point on the section of the label that tells you how many pounds of sulfentrazone are in this product per gallon, and use that to compare it to a product like Dismiss, and then point at that and see how many pounds of sulfentrazone are in that product. Okay? When you do that, you're going to see there's a huge discrepancy in the amount of sulfentrazone between the two products. And that's why it is not a good product to control nutsedge, because there's nowhere near an adequate amount of nutsedge to control nutsedge. I'm not picking on you, Travis. I'm trying to help you out because I get so frustrated when I see people that get sold T-Zone, because literally that's how it happens. People will sell you T-Zone under the impression that it controls nutsedge, knowing damn well it does not control nutsedge, and that drives me bananas. It's not fair to you. Yes, it would be fine to put down X-Screen or Carbonex the same day on turf-type tall fescue. Everybody, it's 9:58. I made it all the way to the end of the chat, and I'm going to use that as my time to correct it. I want everyone to know, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Have a very, very happy... Whoa, ever heard of Civitas Terpenols? Girlfriend uses it to prepare ryegrass through summer stress. Its okay active ingredient label is mineral oil. Seems like a curious active ingredient. It's one of those things where apparently it's got some kind of magic in its ability to inhibit certain types of UV rays to help out with it. I'll say this. It comes from Dr. Frank Rossi. He's kind of the big guns behind it. I've seen it work both ways, where some people say it works great. I've seen plenty of people say it's no good at all. So I just want to put that out there as well. Some people say molasses is effective on nutsedge. Any thoughts on molasses, Matt? Harry, no, absolutely. There is no science or validity to that comment. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Y'all have a happy Memorial Day. God bless the troops and God bless all those that lost their life. Protecting what we get to do day in and day out. I love y'all. Have a good one.